What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to October 15th, 2019. What did I say? I said this week was going to be pretty crazy, and it already is, and I'm just going to talk about how crazy. Now, I think you should remember, because I've been drilling it in since like last week, that I don't, like I said, don't use indicators, but I do trust the TTM on some things, and it does seem to be squeezing, like I said. It's pulling back around. We'll see whether or not this holds. I mean, never trust an indicator fully. I do like the price action. I do like the way volume is working in intraday. I like how it's holding its levels. Amazon, I think, is something that we want to play big. I actually played it today already. I made, I think, 31% off it, and I joined in really late. If I bought it yesterday, which I was planning on doing, uh, it went almost 80%. So this was and that wasn't even naked. That was a debit spread. So if you had actually purchased this as a call, a naked call, you would have made quite a bit today. So but don't do that. Stay solvent. You get the idea. But yeah, I think Amazon has quite a bit more distance to go. You can actually see it today. So I'm going to close this out. I'll show you. So today we actually had some rotations in terms of how the stocks were moving today. So Amazon finally is starting to take off. Facebook really took off at 3% today, and it was really, it really moved up today, 3% off these like levels, off the 183, 185 levels, and it really kind of pushed it all the way up to 190, got bounced back, but I think it's still in full swing. It's really, really, I mean, if you just look at the price action here, this is a textbook play, but yeah. So I do really like the way this is kind of all working out. And like I said with the rotations, the Apple is actually down today. So you can see that that we, after these like huge moves that Apple's been making, we've been kind of coming down now. So that's really cool to see. It's good to see. I mean, it's as expected. I think that's one of the more important parts. Like I said, volatility is kind of working, but we do have a very crazy week so far. And obviously the market is trying to digest all the new information that's been coming out. So the way bonds are reacting and things like that. Bonds were closed yesterday because of Columbus Day, but you can take a look at the TLT if this thing ever loads. How it's been reacting. So it's been kind of coming down lately. We're hitting not new lows, but we're hitting new lows this week. So we are coming down on what it is on the TLT. What is really interesting right now is these earnings. So J.P. Morgan reported today. They reported, I think, what was it, 120? I think they're expected was like $1.24 per share, but their EPS actually ended up being 168. So they beat it really, really well. Whatever it was, it beat really well. It was up 3% today. So you can see it right there that we really, really, really took off today. So that was really something. We had pretty insane volume, higher than way higher, doubled than the average, and yeah. So, but this is important as what it means for the stocks or for the banks. So, for example, I'm gonna naked back BAC call right now, and so I think this has a lot to do with the deregulation talks that happened on Thursday. I think this has to do with how the repo is being handled after the Fed had decided to submit a $75 billion repo into the market. They're basically fixing the liquidity issue while also stimulating the economy. Now, I think this has half at least to do with what's going on right now. BAC is reported to is going to report tomorrow, I think pre-market. So we'll see how that goes. I am, like I said, I'm in call. I'm in like a $13 call. It costs me nothing, next to nothing. But we'll see how that goes. I'm down on it a little bit, but we will see how that plays out right now. And yeah, we do have the volume. So one thing I've noticed is that whenever you get like a bigger move prior to a report, you usually don't get as big of a move from the actual reporting. And sometimes even worse, if the IV is kicking it, which it is right now, especially with Netflix. If you take a look at some of the Netflix options, because Netflix is also reporting tomorrow after hours. If you catch some of the IV, if you look at the IV on these, some of these options were like 133, now 140%. That's really something, and that's both sides. So when you see that kind of implied volatility on both sides, one of those are going to get crushed, and they're going to get crushed badly. And so that is really something you want to be careful about, because sometimes, like one time about a year ago, I played a strangle on Tesla, and what ended up happening on that was I put both sides. I put 500 in on both sides. Figured, okay, hey, there's a big move, big IV. We're gonna catch something huge tomorrow. Or it wasn't 500. That was 250 on both sides, so 500 total. And I lost the whole 250. I mean, those came way the hell down, and I never recovered them because I there's no way, the IV was just too high. The option pricings were crazy expensive, and I hadn't learned it at the time, so I had no idea what I was really looking at. I was just like, oh hey, Tesla reporting, blah blah blah, this, blah 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 that, and it ended up not really moving in a way that would have benefited me at all. So, and it didn't. So that sucked ass at the time, but live and you learn. Anyway, so these are the things that I'm watching out for. Right now, I am in a Netflix. So I'm not actually buying calls. I'm not buying anything straight. I'm not in a debit. I'm in a credit spread. I'm in a credit spread against the puts. So I'm selling credits on the. I don't have it up right now. So I'm selling credits against the puts right now on these because I think that they probably will report pretty well. And even if they don't, as long as they don't dip down, 7-8% in that single day, I'm fine. Because it's Wednesday after, so I have Thursday and Friday are the only days left in order for my option to expire. So I'm selling the puts this week. It's kind of a risky play. My collateral is, I want to say it's like 250. Yeah, my collateral is 250. What I have to gain is my credit is 95. So if everything works out, this will be really good. Based on how tomorrow prices in, based on what I start to figure out, I think I will start to, put, two and two together. If I really go and think about it, I might say puts again. Actually, I might actually have to remove myself from this position, but that's fine because, it's a credit. They're not reporting today. And the reason being is I think there is a possibility that Netflix might report decent earnings but bad guidance, and that is my concern because they did that here way back when. They had, you can see it right there. Their earnings expected was 0.61, but their actual was 0.6, which isn't terrible. However, their guidance was terrible, and then after that, we kind of swung into this really bad down run. So that's one of the things that I'm concerned about actually about Netflix's earnings report, and another thing that Netflix is going to be leading the tech earnings in that way because Netflix is setting the tone. JPM did really well, so that'll probably set the tone for the banks, and that's why I kind of went for it with Bank of America. But the thing is, Netflix is at the same time a tech stock, so all these other stocks that are going to be reporting, Amazon, Nvidia. No, actually, Nvidia is not reporting; they just reported recently. So Nvidia, Microsoft, AMD, Apple. These stocks that are reporting, they'll set the tone. They'll change the opinion of what people think going into these earnings. And especially if these earnings don't turn out good, a lot of the market sentiment that we've gotten up to this point is going to change. And so that's why these earnings are so important. We can make a lot of money here, but we also have to pay attention to what is causing a chain reaction and what. So these huge moves that we're catching up here, I like that because assuming that these moves coming into earnings are too big, are really big, and they've already priced in the majority of the move, which is my hope now. The IV will, because the IV is ridiculous right now. I purchased one of them at 140%, 135% IV, which means if it doesn't make the move that is expected, then it will crush. And when you get the IV crush on those positions, they don't go to zero, but they lose majority of their inflated premium cost. And that's what I want because I'm selling a credit spread on those. So that is what I'm looking out for. I'm hoping that Netflix does that pretty well. I'm also hoping that even if they report badly, one of my hunches is that probably what's going to end up happening is if they report decent earnings, bad guidance, or bad guidance, bad earnings, whatever the case is. If anything that points bad, I think what'll probably happen is it'll come down quite a bit right in the after hours and then probably pick back up a little bit in the pre-market. Probably not enough to, I don't think we're going to catch like a full 10% move out of that. At least I hope I don't, because that would really be bad for my position. In this day, we saw an 11% move. So, but that was also, their guidance was terrible at the time. So that is something I definitely want to look out for. And, you have to think about this in a more fundamental concept as well. Is Netflix going to keep growing? What is Netflix's market penetration? Are they making more money? Because the reason people invest in companies is they are growing. If they are not growing, then you do not invest in them. That is the point. Because what it means is your money to them now means more now because it will benefit the company as a whole in the future. But if it has nothing to gain, then why are you investing in a company that's not growing? So that is something I'm actually considering kind of deeply now, and I will probably reassess my Netflix position. But for the most part, I'm kind of solid on it. So we'll see how that actually goes out. I do have my doubts, so I'll have to go back and look at that, I think, a little bit better. But yeah, so like I already said, the Amazon has the TTM that's going on for it right now. It looks like it's working. The whole market might actually come up with one more run up. That's my guess. So we'll definitely have to see how that goes. So like I said, I'm in Bank of America right now. We kind of we're coming up into earnings right now. We'll see how tomorrow goes. This could really kind of lead the market tomorrow to seeing how all of this is kind of being accepted, digested. There's a lot of information. There's the currency deal. These are not things that are going away, but the priority right now is earnings. If you look at what stocks are reporting, it's so many of the stocks are reporting right now. So that's what you want to keep your eyes on. Now, Nvidia, you're probably going to see a bunch of lines. Yep, I'm going to remove these real quick. So Nvidia is really interesting right now. So Nvidia reported back in August, and now they're kind of riding this wave up. They didn't really take off entirely. There was some digestion there, but then eventually it kind of took to it, and now it's taking off. Similar to how Amazon is also moving as well, but from a higher starting point, if that makes any sense. So Amazon was coming down, and now it's catching some momentum, some higher volume. You can see it right here. We're picking up in volume, so that's really good. I do like Nvidia. Nvidia is above 195 and 196, which is a level to me, and I thought those were pretty important. So yeah, I definitely am going to pay attention to that. I'm going to see how it consolidates at this level tomorrow. Based on that information, then I will probably actually do something about Nvidia. I'll probably sell the credit spreads against the puts and stuff like that, because I don't necessarily think that it's going to skyrocket. But if it does, then I'll collect on it. If it doesn't, then whatever. And I'll protect myself. This is we're in credit spread weather, I think. So I'll probably do that. I will end up playing a few naked positions, so I'll figure out what those are based on how some of these 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 spreads benefit me. Based on how those will, I will also take into account how I'm going to play these regular naked positions. So that I'll figure out in the coming future. So now there's another few things that I want to look at. Cat is reporting, Caterpillar is reporting very soon. I think tomorrow. Let me make sure it's tomorrow. Yeah, October 23rd. So not tomorrow, actually in about a week. So that is something to definitely keep your eyes out for. Caterpillar has been coming up. It completely gapped up a few days ago on the 10th. And then we gapped up here up to this level, and these have been holding pretty strongly. It broke above this 130 level, which is pretty big because it's a psychological level. Plus, the volume is pretty insane for it to get up there. Depending on how that goes, I do have a hunch that Caterpillar is probably going to report pretty good earnings. So I'll probably do a little bit more research into that. One other thing, so a lot of these stocks are reporting in the 23rd. For example, not Bank of America, but Boeing. Boeing is reporting, and that's really something because this has been a headline stock for some time now. And the reason being is, partially it's been because of what's been going on with their not their earnings, but this is one of the earnings that tanked them because of the 737 MAX. Also, the FAA is announcing that they're going to be flying in January, so 737 MAX is going to probably be back up. So that's also good sentiment for BA. I think their earnings report, though, is probably not going to read the same thing. It's on the 23rd, so we'll see how that really goes. I imagine that it wouldn't be too hot, but ultimately I think we'll just have to go ahead and see. I know that I believe that they missed around this point as well. So with that, let me see. Their earnings extended. Yeah. So they missed really badly. So, that absolutely tanked them. We might see it again, and we might see it fall back down to these key levels. So I want to set up a play, I think, for this sometime in the next week. I will do that accordingly. I think I'll update based on how the price action is now, if I can get some sort of information. I recently got access to a Bloomberg terminal, so I'll start looking at the data there and see what I can figure out. All that is good stuff. Now, another thing we want to look at is Tesla. Tesla has been super interesting. We broke above the 250 level finally, which we've been testing for for some time now. And so I really am kind of bullish on Tesla in a in a nondescript kind of way. I try to be. I mean, you can look at it right here if you see the line. These it touches pretty far back, even all the way back up to here. Beginning like October of last year. So we broke above and we came back down, and there was a lot of discussion. I think you guys remember the whole 420 thing. So we skyrocketed way the fuck up. So there's stuff like that. We're breaking above 255 right now, which is really good. We got some pretty high volume out of this day. We have a doji up here, so I do want to see how it consolidates up here. If it doesn't, then I'm probably going to end up selling some spreads on that. So we'll have to just wait and see on this position for sure. So then I don't exactly have a definitive move. I am technically I'm in Tesla calls right now. I'm in a debit spread for them, but I will switch my position if necessary. Let's see what else we got. So we also have INTC, which is Intel Corporation. Now, Intel Corporation is really interesting because, first of all, there's this massive gap fill. If you believe in gap fill, there's a gap fill here. And it's really big. I don't think it's going to probably fill the whole thing at once or at any point, actually. But I have been watching this quite a few times. I did around this date, actually. I kept saying, like, hey, watch Intel, because it's going to take off. I didn't say it on video because I wasn't recording these publicly at the time. But yeah, it was something that I believe that was going to take off. Now we're back at it again, 52. 52 tends to be the rejection level. So if the price action does not warrant this breakout yet, then I'll probably go shorts again on it. I'll probably sell the 53s. But they are reporting on the 24th, so that's another thing to keep an eye on, is to see how those reports go. If there's anything that's going to take it above it, it's going to be that report. We're going to need a catalyst, and that's probably what it's going to be. So, yeah, that is another thing. So, Nvidia is another thing that's not reporting, which I believe I talked about a little bit. We broke above those 195 levels, which is a really big level if you kind of remember how Nvidia actually behaves in general. It's a key level that we kept seeing. So keep an eye on how it behaves above this, because if it opens red tomorrow, I might actually open up selling some spreads on this as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Nvidia is one thing I really like about Nvidia is that it just moves in direction. So, for example, you see right here, 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 here. These are straight liners. I mean, it's not this. And then we experienced some of the August and September volatility right here, and now we're in October. We're pulling it up, so we're gonna have to wait and see how that goes out. But I would say probably spreads. I would probably sell spreads on this if it doesn't hold above 196, 195. I will watch the price action to see how that goes. So, yeah. Microsoft. So Microsoft is my opinion on Microsoft is very news based. I think Microsoft is at an all-time high again. Or it was recently, and it fell back down, came back up. So I think Microsoft is due for quite the run up. You can actually see based on this, it's been kind of flat, and then we had today's. Today was a bigger move. We had about 1.5%. So those are the rotations coming back in. You're seeing Apple come down, Facebook and Intel come back up, AMD similarly. Microsoft is due to report. I think that's going to be a pretty big catalyst as well. So we'll watch and see how Microsoft behaves. But we do have the Microsoft service lineup, and I think that is going to be pretty helpful, assuming that the sentiment around it is good. There was room for digestion that came out pretty recently. So now we're waiting on how the digestion is being taken, and it does look like it's being, I think, pretty well. I think a lot of this is a reaction to that, but it's also part of the volatility. So I want to watch and wait and see how that goes. So then, I already said NVIDIA, so now let's look at AMD. AMD. Okay, so AMD is going to be in, let me wait for this lag to end. Okay, so AMD is part of the Microsoft lineup as well. We got this going on. We got quite a bit of the move in these last few days. What is this, 6%? Jesus. So, and then today was kind of a flat day. I actually am, I believe, I think I'm in shorts right now. I'm selling on this actually. So I'm selling it, I think, back to down to 30, but I'm not going to hold that for too long because I think it is possible that AMD could keep going up. I was watching the price action today, and so this is kind of, one of the key price action points for me that says, okay, hey, there's a doji, there's volume, not that great actually. It's like average at best. Volume up here, so we might see a turnaround, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But keep an eye on AMD. We got some pretty good information there. We got how they're dealing with the the Surface lineup as well, because their Ryzen chips are sitting in those new Surface books and those new Surface laptops. So we are gonna want to see how that is taken by the market. There is digestion going on, so we'll see. We will definitely see. This is a level that's being rejected currently, 30, 90, give or take. So maybe I'm a little bit out. Yeah, 30.90 give or take. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm gonna definitely, if it goes in my direction, those credit spreads are gonna work out for me pretty well. If not, then c'est la vie. What else? So yeah, but keep an eye on AMD. They're reporting on the 29th also. So a little day before the Fed reports, the FOMC decides on the Fed rate. So now let's clear this. Okay, so now I don't really know what to say here. They reported today. They did pretty well. Their guidance was a lot better, but yeah, they took way the hell up. I don't know, man. If we're starting from bottom, what is this? 7-8%? Jesus. I wasn't even watching this. I just knew UNH was the one to watch. They reported today that took off like crazy. Keep an eye on it. I mean, it's gonna come back down some, but I'm gonna wait for that. But then I'm gonna probably buy spreads, or maybe I'll wait for it to come back down and then sell the puts on that. So we'll see. Yeah, but that is UNH. Healthcare. Okay, so healthcare is important. So you want to take a look at more of the healthcare stocks. So I think I'll cover some financial market sectors. So we can discuss those a little bit later. See what the tandem is. So right now we got banks, and then we got tech stocks that are reporting in the coming weeks. So we'll see how that goes on. And Bank of America should be tomorrow, which I think I've already said. So what else? So I'm gonna look at Apple. So Apple is due to report on the 30th, and you can, like I said, you can see these rotations coming out. Apple was moving up pretty hard for a while, so we're letting off some gas. We're coming back down under 235. 238 was our highest. Yeah, and keep an eye on the 230 level, because you want to see how it holds up right here. If it starts to break down, then that might lead the rest of the market now, because Apple has been coming up while the whole market has been coming down, up and around. So Apple has been fairly consistent for this while. This rotation is not unexpected at this point. We'll see how this starts to play out in the coming week. So keep an eye on it. They're reporting on the 30th, so let's go on that. Beyond reporting on the 28th, but now interestingly about Beyond, I want to look into a bit more of the price action, and not just the price action, but the fundamentals to see what's happening with Beyond right now. Is it coming down? Are they going to report? There's a very big gap fill here. It goes from 121 to 119 or to 99. Yeah. So 122. So 122 to 99. So that's a big amount. So if we come back down that much, it's definitely going to be a big one, and that's going to be beyond earnings report, which might actually bring it down. However, it is really close. It's right on it, so we're probably going to bounce. And so I was actually trying to buy Beyond. I was trying to sell some credit spreads on the puts today. I didn't end up getting those, but I'll probably get them tomorrow, assuming this works out for me. I really do like this price action. I might be getting it a little too early to the party, so I'll watch out for that. But if it does break into this gap, then we got a big way down, and then I'll probably play that as well. Then we got Shopify. Shopify in this time is actually really interesting, because as Christmas comes around, you get these drop shipping companies that start to kind of take off in different ways. So we see Shopify's building up some steam again. They're due to report, I believe, on the 29th as well. Yes, that is correct. So they're going to report on the 29th. We're just coming back up. We're getting some volume. It's getting some gas right now. So keep an eye on it. We hit off this low point from this trend right here. This is a level, so we're bouncing from there now. We're catching up above these other key levels, which have been consistently so. We're getting rejected up here, but we might actually pull back and take off again, or we might just end up coming straight back down. But I doubt it, because this move was really really freaking huge. I mean, the amount that we came down was insane. Let me come up with the percentage right now. Yeah, we came down 30%. So, that was a huge missed opportunity, I think, if you could figure out what was going on with Shopify at the time. But I guess we will see. I think that's all I have for today. I mean, I think if I wanted to cover anything fundamentally, it'd be that the futures are pricing in a cut again, so either a quarter cut or a 0.5 cut. So we'll see. Yeah, so I think that's all for today. This is how I'm thinking about playing my earnings. I think earnings are still a while away, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. You keep an eye on these. Keep an eye on the indices. Keep an eye on everything. We got quite a bit of stuff coming up. These next weeks are going to be crazy. I think this week is going to be amazing. So yeah, keep your eyes on everything. All right, I'll catch you guys.